So, Rishi, I want to talk about the sales role today. Okay. So, in sales, there's this concept of uh, active listening, right? And what that actually means is that you, as a salesperson, right, are on the phone or in a meeting with a prospect, and you need to actively listen to what the person is saying, right? Truly, deeply understand what the person means with every single sentence that they're using, right? And the reason why it's important is because then you can start tailor your pitch based on what the person just said, right? It's also useful because you can drill down into pain points and so on, but that's not my point. Now, I want to talk about a similar technique that people that do any sort of like qualitative customer research analysis need to have. And this is something that I came up with like, a few months ago, completely, as I would say, as a JSON technique to the active listening, which is actively reading. And here's what I mean by that. I'll explain this with an example. So first of all, I would apply this technique with any type of qualitative data. So it could be like reviews mining, it could be like surveys, it could be reading through customer interviews, any type of qualitative and unstructured data. So here's an example of a review that I read, and the translation of it from an active reading perspective. I'm going to read it out loud. So I'm actually using this for work. I'm a housekeeper. Not having a cord to deal with is a game changer. Two of my clients are so impressed with it that they have each bought one too. This is a review about Dyson, okay, like the Dyson Hoover. Now, let me translate what this customer really means using the active reading lenses. I look good in front of my clients because now the house looks 10x more cleaned, and they're probably more likely to hire me again. Okay, this is what the person means in that review. I'm gonna read another one because it's interesting. My wife and I were very happy with our Dyson V10, but this V11, which is the name of the model, takes performance, quietness, ease of use, and battery life to even a higher level. It's worth every penny we spent. If you read through the line of what the person actually says, the customer is really giving you actually a bunch of selling angles that the V11, the new model, actually has versus the V10 in case the user that is on the product page of the V11 already owns the V10. So now the person is actually coming up with a bunch of selling angle that you can steal to position the V11 model against the V10. And again, just to make sure people understand what I mean with active reading is actually reading through the line to exactly what the person means and what's hiding behind that qualitative data.
Yeah, I think this is a really good idea, and I think it actually allows you to get so much more value from each review, because now you're really understanding, instead of just looking at keywords, right? Saying how do people use a certain keyword, you're actually saying, I want to understand the intent and what this person was trying to communicate uh, in their writing. I think it's a very good idea. I've never thought about it. And I think that's why we need to spend more. My advice for companies would be that the best way to get better at something is to actually hard allocate time to it. So if the idea is to indulge in more active reading of my customer reviews, for example, if that's what you want to do, spend 5 hours doing it. Spend 5 hours and see how you feel. Because
Yeah.
if you don't allocate time, then we have all of these ideas that we discuss are just little fragments that are floating around, and you're like, oh, this is really interesting, I'll do this at some point. There's no timeline for it, there's no commitment to it, and you'll not be able to benefit from it. We're not saying do every idea that we're talking about. We're saying you pick what is relevant based on hundreds of ideas that we've shared, and then allocate time for it, because allocating time is actually a sign of how committed you are to solving a problem. There's a big difference between what we aspire for and what we are willing to do. So there are many, like when I think about things I want to do in the future, everything feels like, oh yeah, I want to do all these things. And if I look at my actual behavior in terms of where am I spending my money, where am I allocating blocking time in my calendar, I notice that there's actually very little correlation between those two things. And the difference between people that are very successful and people that aren't is the fact that their aspirations and their actions are closely related. So anyway, I've made this into a business coaching lesson, but do what Lorenzo is saying.
Yeah, because it's always difficult to, and this is maybe you tell me what you think about this. It's always difficult to separate the customer hat with the marketer's hat, right? Because whenever you read a review, for example, you always, the first reaction would be like, okay, they're just saying that they like this product. But then if you start wearing the marketer's hat, that story is completely different.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting point. So thank you for sharing that, and I hope you guys saw value in it. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and we will see you again. We put videos every 24 hours, so we will see you again with another idea. And you can also look at our archive of ideas. If you go to the channel, you'll see all the videos, and we title them in a way so the video reflects what's in the title. And we think you'll like a few of those ideas. We'll see you soon. Take care.